You're in a toxic relationship. You're in a bad spot. You should be with someone who allows you to be yourself. Again, authentic. Meghan Markle lived a full, juicy, wonderful, exciting life before she ever met Prince Harry. She was filming a hit TV show, she was traveling with friends, she had a website where she talked about fashion, beauty, food, and travel, and she made it a business and was able to make a profit. She volunteered internationally, doing cause-driven work. She was even the UN Women's Advocate for political participation and leadership. I mean, wow, that's really impressive. So when she does make her way over to London, it's not specifically to see Harry. They had been messaging each other for some time over Instagram, but she went to London to see Serena playing Wimbledon. So she wasn't chasing after Harry and begging him for a date going over to London. She was there for an event, okay? She was there for her friend. And I thought it was really cute too in the documentary when they have the date and she's upset that he's late, thinking he's this arrogant prince who thinks any woman's gonna just wait forever for him to show up. But he shows up all sweaty and red and nervous. I thought that was adorbs. The date was short because she already had plans for after dinner. Even though she really enjoyed herself on that date, she let it be known, I'm not dropping everything for you, the prince. I have other plans. I have to go. She also made it be known that she was only in London for a few days. So if he really enjoyed her company, he was going to have to take action because TikTok time was limited. I really valued how I love how she valued her time, and she wanted to make it known that she values her time to him and that she was always going to put her activities and her time and her enjoyment first. She was not going to be dropping everything for him. I just thought that was fantastic. Live your life to the fullest for your own benefit, for yourself, because it makes you happy. Pick up hobbies and activities that give you joy, that give you purpose, that feed your soul, things that you feel you're so passionate about and things you can be super knowledgeable about. That's what Meghan did. Ladies, let's live a full, juicy, wonderful life filled with activities that spark joy in us. Let us also not put a man on a pedestal and know our value and worth of our time when meeting one. So after only having met in person twice, they decide to go to Botswana together. Harry was already in Botswana, and it becomes very clear that he has friends and a second family in Botswana. And he even expresses in the documentary how critical it was for Meg to share that with him. And so she happens to be off the same week as he is. Again, not bending over backwards to meet up with him, but doing so when it was convenient for her as well. And she goes out of her comfort zone to share this experience with him. And she goes into the bush. She's going to be staying in a tent. She won't have a mirror. She won't be able to do her usual beauty routine. It's just going to be raw and real. And she describes how it starts off pretty awkward. She meets him in Botswana. She doesn't know if they should kiss or if they should hug. And this man hands her a chicken sandwich. But they slowly get comfortable with each other. And they hold hands. And Harry describes it as starting to feel normal and natural. And that just, I love those words in a relationship. Normal and natural. So key. Later, when they're sleeping in the tent and hearing an elephant grazing on a tree nearby, Harry says, he will protect her. He will keep her safe. And she said that she believed him. And he felt her put her trust into him. And I think and believe that truly solidified their bond. He was a protector, and she trusted that he would be able to protect her. Protect your relationship at all costs. I think sometimes we rush to being in a new relationship and wanting to just shout it from the mountaintops and tell everyone and introduce them to everyone and have them be involved in every aspect of your life. Take some time to get to know your partner. Have intimate one-on-one time. Don't rush into social media posts, presenting this perfect happy life that you have with this person who you just met. Don't rush into introducing them with your friends and having him grill him and know if he's the best mate for you or not. Be comfortable with him one-on-one, so you know in your heart, in your soul, in your gut that this is the person for you, and that you're a good match, and that you share the same values, and that you're very comfortable with each other. Be comfortable with your partner before you introduce him to the world. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone to really get to know your partner's interest. Now, there's a limit, okay? Because I'm not a tent girl, so I would not be going over to Botswana to sleep under the elephants. But good for Meg that she did. But think about activities that you can do that really interest your partner that maybe aren't so interesting to you. Maybe perhaps a sports game or activity, or something that really piques your partner's interest that will push yourself out of your comfort zone. That way you can show them that you may not have a direct interest in their hobby, but you are interested in them and what makes them happy and what gives them joy. Meghan is her authentic, unapologetic self. She doesn't feel the need or pressure in the beginning to mold herself to be rigid and not talk about controversial topics. We see in the documentary a clip of her mentioning the Me Too movement because she just thought it was a topical topic to speak on at the moment. And of course, there was some backlash with that because the royal family doesn't talk about controversial topics, but in that moment, she was just being herself. And she mentions in the documentary that she's glad that she didn't know then what she knows now. So back then, she could just be her authentic self without so much preparedness. In her own words, she says this. She didn't feel the pressure of acting like a high, perfect society lady with the perfect manners. She talks about the first time she met Will and Kate, she was barefoot cooking food in the kitchen. So no airs, no pretenses, just being herself. And it's sad that she thought that the rigid, polite facade that the royal family put on was only for the public, and that behind closed doors they could just, be normal and be relaxed. But she quickly found out that that was not the case. I honestly feel like Harry gives her the space to be herself, even when he knows that she can do things that might offend the Brits. Like in the documentary, her mocking, sort of making a curtsy to the Queen. And you can see on his face, he's like, oh Lord, this is going to be a problem. But it stays in the documentary. They keep it because it was her being self-deprecating and her being herself and expressing how she felt at this request to curtsy to the Queen and realizing she had to do well and just being over the top and doing her very best. I mean, now that I think about it though, side note, Harry really should have prepared her for that moment. And if you're dating someone from a different culture, be sure to ask them if they have any special customs for greeting elders. When you're in a newly formed relationship, it is imperative, critical, needed that you are your authentic self. Be yourself. You should be with someone who makes you comfortable enough and allows you the space to be silly, to be emotional, to be imperfect. If you are faking the funk and putting on a perfect caricature for your partner, you're in a toxic relationship. You're in a bad spot. You should be with someone who allows you to be yourself. Again, authentic. I know I've said the word authentic 17 times in this video or this portion of the video, but it's imperative. It's so important to be yourself. If you are pretending to be a perfect woman in the beginning of a relationship, when eventually the shell cracks and your authentic self comes to light, you may start having some resentment towards your partner who doesn't accept your authentic self. They've accepted the caricature and the persona that you put on from the beginning. So always be your best self from the moment you begin a new relationship. don't pretend to be anything other than your best self.